What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Tuesday night's late night agenda. As always, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Tonight, we're going to discuss the breaking news that it looks like Antoine Semenyo will be moving in January, just not to Liverpool Football Club. It is looking very, very much like Manchester City will be Antoine Semenyo's destination. We're going to talk about what that means. We're going to discuss some potential alternatives. We're going to talk about the manager's press conference, and I'm going to rant a little bit about some of the garbage that's been coming out of his mouth. And of course, we'll go through lots more over the next 90 minutes or so. We've got an update from Isak as well. He posted on socials about his injury. We'll take you through some of the crazy links. We'll talk about the players who are and aren't available for the game against Wolves on the 27th. Yeah, but as always, let me know. Let me know. I think that lad on the screen beat me up in a fight once. There you go. So at least he's got something about him. Yeah, that gentleman you seen on the waiting screen before we went live, that is the youngster Adam that we're trying to raise the money in the GoFundMe for to help him get to the European Championships. But look, more on that in a little while. For now, it's a little bit... I don't know how I feel about the Antoine Semenyo situation. Let me know how you guys are thinking on. Actually, do you know what? I'm just straight into a poll. Straight into a poll, folks. So, 1 second. Let me type this out. I better be careful about how I word this to be factual. Right, so are you upset that Semenyo is likely going to Manchester City? We'll kick off with that one tonight. Let me know where your head's at with that one. I'm still kind of processing it, to be honest, because as the days gone by, it's gone more and more clear that Liverpool aren't in the mix. So then you're wondering where he does go. Will it be Manchester United? Would it be Chelsea who came into the mix at one point and then went away quickly? But like I said, it looks very, very, very much like it's Manchester City. Sam, how are we, bro? Thank you so much for the super chat, and I hope you're well, sir. Sam said, thank God BARCOLA is a better choice, or is the better choice. I know he's not a good finisher, but look at Hugo last season. He couldn't finish anything. We can get BARCOLA firing. Look, if we end up with Bradley BARCOLA, I'm not going to be angry about it one bit. I have said he wouldn't be my preferred choice, but neither would Semenyo. But I can't really argue against what you've written, Sam. You're made a perfectly valid comparison to the underperforming XG that Hugo did have at Frankfurt. Now look at him, he's overperforming his XG at Liverpool. And if you offered me the two of them, I probably would see the upside and the potential in BARCOLA being higher. Semenyo would be somebody I would think would be better to come right in the here and now and deliver something immediately. But if we're talking about who has the higher ceiling, BARCOLA is most definitely the answer to that one. But how serious is our interest there, and how likely is it? Well, we'll talk about that in a little while. Sonder said, BARCOLA dream still alive for me, Craig. 24 goals and assists last season in 34 games and in the league. A baller, a ball carrier, a dribbler, chance creator. I love it. Look, it seems like from the start anyway, a lot of people aren't too downbeat or disappointed by the situation with Antoine Semenyo. Brad Larkin, how are you, bro? Absolutely ridiculous if you're Semenyo. Feels like Calvin Phillips all over again. Was once a generational talent for the club, now the bench. I'll go another one. Look at the situation with Grealish. You know, at Aston Villa, doing really well, and you knew it was a weird move. And I don't get the move to Manchester City for Semenyo. I've said it before, I don't think it will kick him on in the same way as if he went to United or Liverpool or most other clubs. But look, it is what it is, you know. We'll find out over time, but yeah, it is a weird one. It wouldn't have been if I was advising him the club I'd be sending him to, and that's without knowing the charges as well, which always baffles me on a personal level. You know, I don't know how any agent or any family member or any friend or whatever you want to say can advise anyone to go to Manchester City, you know. Other than the appeal of working on the Guardiola, with what's hanging over their head. If you're an up-and-coming player like Semenyo, let's say, and you go to Man City and then they are found guilty of some or all of these charges, that's going to dent your reputation. Even though you're not there, of course, before these charges arose, it's just bad PR that's going to be attached to your name when you play there. But look, it's his decision, it's his career. Zoshi said, Craig, what about Rodrigo of Madrid? I don't think there's anything in that at all. I keep coming back to ask the same question. When's the last time we signed anybody and paid money from a Madrid player? And the thing about Rodrigo is, one, he's going to want too much money, and the transfer fee is probably going to be quite high as well. So the overall package wouldn't really make sense. I can see a world where he ends up at Arsenal in the future, if I'm being honest. If Arsenal move a wide player on in the summer, I could see a world where maybe Rodrigo goes there. Our interest was dropped in November, apparently. Yes, Sonder, I have that piece open here in front of me. And it came from Ben Jacobs. And Ben Jacobs said, Liverpool opted not to pursue Antoine Semenyo further following discussions in November. Ultimately, Isak's leg injury did not lead to a renewed formal approach. So can I just say something on this, Sonder? You, I, and many others have read Echo journalists and a few others talk about Semenyo and Liverpool being possible as recently as today. You don't have to take my word for it. Look on the Echo site and have a look. Even today, they're talking about Liverpool maybe pursuing Semenyo. So if we pulled out of that November-wise, how are all these journalists so very wrong about it then? Because look at who has linked us to Semenyo in recent weeks. So if somebody knew that we stopped in November, then again, it's just it's not a great look for a lot of these journalists who are club-friendly journalists. They've been made to look a little bit silly again. Julio said, hey Craig, hope you're well. Did you see the injury news for Minamino? I feel bad for him. I haven't. No, sorry mate. I haven't seen anything on Taki Minamino at all. Craig, talk about Chiesa playing, but in the same sentence, Cody could be back. So look, I just did my predicted 11 to send it to Connor because I'm going to record it tomorrow and it's going to go out Christmas morning. And I put Chiesa in my 11 because even if Gakpo does make the matchday squad, and the manager will move on to talk about his words on that in the presser, there's no way he's going to walk straight back into the starting team. No way. You can't be out that long. Even 2, 3, 4 weeks and start playing straight away from the start. It will have to be minutes from the bench. So I don't think he's going to be realistic target whatsoever to start. But let's hear from what the managers had to say on a couple of things about injuries. So he said Connor Bradley will be 50-50. He's not training with us today or tomorrow. Friday, we'll see exactly where he is, if he can be in the squad. Joe won't be available. Endo won't be, and Cody is a bit similar to Connor, so kind of 50-50 on that one. Do you want me to read you out something that I believe will make you angry? Because when I read this, I read it again, and then I read back over it again, and then I sat there and I thought about it, and then I thought, yeah, I'm fucking furious about what he said here. So let me read this out to you, and it is about Rio Engamoa. This is what your manager, your coach, Arne Slot, had to say about Rio Engamoa and his situation at Liverpool. Let's see if you agree with this statement or not. I said last time for his age, he's 17. He has the most minutes of all 17-year-olds in the Premier League. That tells you how much his special level already is. It tells you his quality. It's not normal for a 17-year-old to have that much playing time, but it also tells you about unavailability. At the weekend, Cody could be back. Federico can play there. Florian can play there. There were 4 under-21 players on the bench against Tottenham. So, in Arne's mind, I think Engamoa's had plenty of minutes at senior football level for 17. Plenty. Just stop the bullshit, Arne. Please just stop the bullshit. Because it is getting tiresome at this point. He's such a special talent that we don't want to block a pathway through. And he's so special that you don't want to give him any minutes. But yet somehow has played the most minutes of any 17-year-old in the Premier League. He's played 12 minutes in the last 11 games. 12 whole minutes in 11. Our manager is fucking deluded. And I'm sorry I can't sugarcoat that or put it in any nicer terms, but the man is deluded. It just, his reality and the reality of the lived experience for the fans is very, very different. Speaking about Isak, this is what he had to say about Alexander Isak. I'm confident that he can play a part at the back end of the season. It's been a really challenging and difficult period for him. You can join a new club. He was very excited and you want to show immediately your qualities, but that was simply impossible. If you haven't trained for 2 or 3 months at a serious level in this league, you have to be on top of your game to impact a game of football. We knew it would take months. We knew it would take him time. That's why he's unlucky he's now injured. And we all saw with his goals versus West Ham and Spurs, he got closer to the player and player he was at Newcastle. Yeah, so look, there he is on that one. But look, on the Rio Engamoa thing, it's just nonsense. He surely knows we see through this. I don't know. It's just, again, it's so stupid. Gio said, honestly though, I think BARCOLA has a higher ceiling. There's no doubt about that. Even I, who would have, been one of the people who would have been critical of the idea of BARCOLA, I have always said that the potential for him to reach, a level is higher than Semenyo. Semenyo has versatility. Semenyo can play in a couple of positions. And Semenyo is a good, proven Premier League footballer. I'm not trying to in any way run down Antoine Semenyo. He's a good footballer and he seems like a wonderful human being. I do find the move to Manchester City crazy. And I do find the situation mad that, again, we're left without many options. Travis said 1.7 Wolves in the chat. Travis is too thick to understand what 1.7 versus 1.7k is. Hey Travis, can you explain to us what a wool is? Because you threw the term around. Let's see, what's a wool? Explain it to me, give it to me, come on. Give me a breakdown of exactly what a wool is or a woolly back. Tell me, mate, I'm intrigued. And also, it must break your little fucking heart, dude, does it? That the guy from Ireland has more people watching him talking about Liverpool than anybody else, wool or not Wolves. But remember this, bro, and don't forget it because it's a valuable life lesson for you. There's far more people that support any football club, Liverpool, United, Arsenal, Chelsea, far more of them that live outside the town or the country that the club is in. Remember that. And without that worldwide support, none of these football clubs, our beloved Liverpool, Everton, Arsenal, City, none of them would be able to survive and cope. So, again, another brain-dead idiot that comes in, spouting shit, can't string a sentence together. Be better, bro. Be better. And it's now 1.9, by the way, just to, give you a little update. And it'll keep growing, mate. It'll keep growing up and up. And you'll notice that. We're a friend of the Wolves here on Anfield Agenda. And, we welcome in everybody because we're not arrogant pricks like yourself. Hey Craig, hope you're well. Sorry I haven't been on your live stream for a while. Been busy trying to become a motivational speaker for men's mental health. That's class. We could do more of that in the world, mate. That's brilliant. Really proud of you. And do let me know how that goes. I still have your book that you very kindly sent me over. I'm not going to sit here and say I've got a chance to read it yet, mate, because I haven't. But I appreciate you sent it to me. And if you ever want to bounce an idea off me or anything around these type of things, please do let me know, because people like you and people speaking up about men's mental health in particular, really important, bro. So keep doing your good work. We support you 100%. And thank you so much for dropping in. I wish you a Merry Christmas. Eddie Amy, also good backup. 30-40 million for him. Yes, please. I'm not sure on Kareem Adeyemi. Yeah, it's one that I've kind of gone back and forth over the years on. When he came through, I want to say it was Salzburg, if my memory's right. It looked really exciting. Then went to Dortmund, has kind of blown hot and cold there at times. But there's a player in there, no doubt, mate. There is a player in there. Graham said, grab Marmouche. I feel like that was the one. You know, when he went to Manchester City, I would have loved Omar Marmouche. You know, we were talking about it at the time, and I would have thought he would have been a great fit for Liverpool as well. Stu said, Craig, imagine if Liverpool only had fans from Liverpool. That's called a League Two club. It's just, these lads are just tickos, Stu. That's it. Do you know, they all support your local, blah, 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 blah. It's all just nonsense, you know. Same lad will listen to a band from a different part of the world. Same lad will, you know, have sports stars in other parts of the world that he likes. Yeah, doesn't buy all of his clothes in the city he lives in. Doesn't specifically dine out only in the city he lives in. Doesn't wear, you know, jackets from the city he lives in. They're just brain dead idiots that, you know, are the very ones that get sucked into the negative parts of the internet because they don't have the intellect to figure out that they're being led like sheep into a stupid negative way of thinking. But fuck them all. Leave them to it. Love's always going to win. Positivity's always going to win. Seeing the news that we're looking at Depay and Sorloth, should we get Semenyo? Literally no words, just anger. Well, I don't know who told you that, but it's all kinds of bollocks. Depay is somewhere over playing in the Mexican League. That's how far his stock's fallen. And as for Sorloth, absolutely nowhere near the level for Liverpool. And I don't know what season he's having with Atleti at the minute, but wherever you're seeing those links, I would take them with a massive pinch of salt because I've not seen them. So either someone's on a wind up or someone's deluded. Should we get Dovbyk? No, he's shy. And he is. Not even doing it really at Roma. And I know Roma are doing well in the league, but Dovbyk is getting nowhere near good enough for Liverpool Football Club. It is interesting to see, though, what we potentially do in the January window now, because like that's one player gone in Semenyo, and we'll read through what the journalists have had to say on that in a minute. Stargirl, how are you, my friend? Just wanted to say, wish you, the family, and Connor the very best for Christmas. You've created a fantastic podcast. You must be very proud of yourself. Yeah, I'm really proud of where we are, definitely. But like I've said, Stargirl all the time, most proud of our community of people. Because, you know, you guys are what makes this a pleasure, simply. But Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. Right, let's read out on what a couple of the journalists have been saying around the situation with Semenyo. So firstly, we had Fabrizio Romano saying, breaking, Manchester City are progressing to complete the deal for Antoine Semenyo in the next few days. As revealed, City have been pushing in the last 12 hours to accelerate talks. Semenyo indicated that Manchester City was his favourite destination despite Manchester United trying hard and Chelsea and Spurs out of the race. Now we'll go to Matt Thielen. Matt Thielen was one of the people that first brought up Liverpool's interest in Bradley Barcola, and Matt said Liverpool are continuing to monitor the situation surrounding Bradley Barcola. This was back on the 8th of December. Richard Hughes has been in communication with his rep since the summer, and LFC Transfer Room have since retweeted or reposted that. So keep an eye on that situation. We also have David Ornstein saying exclusive, Antoine Semenyo's preference is to join Manchester City in January. Nothing formal until the market opens, but the attacker favours City. United pushed hard, never planned to use the 25-year-old at wing-back, but the winter switch was always tough for United. On top of that, Romano said, understand City have been pushing a lot in the last 12 hours. Director Viana in direct talks with the players' camp, and Man United still insisting Liverpool monitoring and Chelsea are out. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the situation with Mr. Semenyo. But my weirdest link of the day comes from Caught Offside, and they say Liverpool are monitoring Brentford striker Igor Thiago, who they see as a stylistic fit for the side, but Brentford are reluctant to part with one of their key players mid-season unless an extraordinary offer arrives. It makes absolutely no sense for Liverpool to sign a centre forward. None. Because Isak will be back. We have Ekatike. We have a youngster in Dance. We don't need more than 2 or 3 centre forwards. We just don't. No club really does. So the idea of signing Igor Thiago makes no sense. The idea of a Semenyo, you could understand that. Multifaceted, can play on either side. A BARCOLA can totally understand that as well. Somebody who could play on either side, multifaceted, gives you options. But I just don't see any sense to bringing in a centre forward at this point. It's mental. Right. Yes, mate. City fan here. Love your vids. Keep it up, smashing it. Thank you. Really appreciate that, mate. That's very kind of you to say. And I fancy, unfortunately, that you lads are going to push Arsenal and take that title off them. But really kind of you about the content, mate. Appreciate that a lot. That meme guy said, I'd take not getting Semenyo if it means Mark A in January. Yeah, this is where I'm about to piss in your cornflakes, unfortunately. It really, really does look as if Mark A is being pushed for the summer. And we reported this, we didn't report this. We reported on the reports on this yesterday. So you've got Cave at Sky, who said that he thinks Gay's given his words that he will sign for Liverpool. But then we had other moves that were along the lines of, let me just get this one. Sorry, I'm going through my notes from yesterday. Yeah, where is it? Nope, not that one. Sky Sports said that plans to sign a centre-back, a winger and a central midfielder could be accelerated. They remain keen on Mark A. But I think it was Paul Joyce. Paul Joyce said something along the lines of, it's very unlikely in January, in the summer, far more likely. So it's Indy Kayla with their exclusive bullshit. LFC exploring short-term attacking options if they miss out on Semenyo, Depay and Sorloth. Fuck me. Look, I don't want Memphis Depay anywhere near Liverpool Football Club. Nowhere near it. Ever. Don't want it to happen. Not good enough. No, thank you. That's just ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, this is the same Indy Kayla who I think as recently as today was still saying Liverpool were pushing hard and, had breakthroughs in their communications with Semenyo. So, yeah, I'll take that with a pinch of salt. Thank you. So, he also said, Liverpool insider, all parties from Liverpool at the table couldn't get on the same page regarding Semenyo. The transfer was stalled 5 days ago. Yet this spoofer was posting far more recently than 5 days ago about Liverpool being interested. Shocking. Arne will go after any Dutch player. Look, I don't want Memphis to buy anywhere near the club. I don't think we need to bring in another centre forward full stop. I think we need another attacker. Absolutely. But when Salah comes back from the AFCON, Salah can play as one of 2 forwards. A lot of this will depend on the system as well that Arne wants to go with, or that he wants to carry on with. Carl said, can you do a poll? Do we trust Liverpool to do good business in the transfer windows, or nothing special? Keep up the good work. Merry Christmas. Well, we asked yesterday, would fans be angry if Liverpool didn't sign a centre-back in January, Carl? And everybody says yes. We also asked how many signings people think Liverpool will make in the January transfer window yesterday, and most people answered 2. Yeah, let's check in on the Semenyo poll, by the way. So, are you upset that Semenyo's likely going to City? We're heading towards 2,000 votes, and it is really close at the minute. Really close. So, do vote away if you can. Villa fan 7, how are you, mate? Welcome in. I know it's still way too early, but do you think we have a good chance of winning the league if we can bring in a consistent striker in January? It's one of these questions, mate, that I will answer you honestly. I would love for you to stay in that title race. Honestly, if Villa won the league over, because I don't think Liverpool are going to do it, if Villa won the league over Arsenal and Manchester City, I would be absolutely delighted for Villa fans, who I hold in the highest of regard and have a huge soft spot for them as a club. I'd love you to do it. I do think it isn't sustainable, but keep dreaming, keep believing, week on week. Let Morgan Rodgers continue to develop. Let your genius of a coach do his thing. And if you can get in a striker, as you've said, it would make a big difference. I think Villa are going to be a lot of people's second team this year, hoping that you guys can last the pace, because great club, story club, great fan base. And I'd be over the moon for you, mate. Honestly, I would. As long as we get into the Champions League spots, because we have to do that as a club, I hope to God you can stay in that title race. But my gut feeling deep down is that you drop away. You know, it's a lot to keep up that level, that mentality. You know, and you got to have deep squads. But you're in a great position, man. And what is it, 10 games in a row, 10 wins? Wow, that's incredible. Craig, do you think we even get Gay now? For me, it's unlikely based on form and playing style. My understanding, like I've said, is that Gay has given his word to Liverpool that he will become a Liverpool player. I couldn't tell you when that will be. I never got a time frame. But Kave Solokol said something similar. Lewis Steele said something similar. But it seems as if it's going to be the summer when Liverpool make that move. And I can't get my head around... Look, there's two or three ways to look at the Gay situation. You look at it through our eyes as Liverpool fans, and we need a centre-back right now, and Mark Gay seems a fairly obvious one. You look at it from Crystal Palace's side, and you've got a manager who kicked up a fuss to keep the player. The manager now looks like he's been proven right to keep the player because Palace have had a good start to the year. But you also then have a manager who won't sign on to a new deal, and a manager who will, if he does sign a new deal, want money for a centre-back when Mark Gay leaves. Where's that going to come from? So, sensibly, I think they should sell in January, but I don't know where we're at. If we don't sign a centre-back in January, the word angry isn't even going to be strong enough for me. Like, it will absolutely feel like we've just given up on any aspirations to do anything special this season, because it's a shambles that we only have two centre-backs fit. Two, that's it. Think about that. Two centre-backs fit. Just about to go into the time of the season where one of them can just sign for another club, doesn't even have to tell Liverpool, and can leave in the summer. His head's going to be still all over the place, won't sign the deal on the table from Liverpool. And that's before you get into a potential injury with the amount of minutes these guys are having to play. It's absolutely insane that every newspaper that covers Liverpool, every fan page, every podcast, every article isn't screaming at the club to get their finger out and get a centre-back. Because we're in dire need of a centre-back. Arthur said, I view Villa as possibly overtaking Spurs in the Big Six if they win their league title number 8 this year. I'd love Villa to go and do it. You know, I don't think Liverpool have any business talking about being in the title race at the minute. You know, we're 10 points behind. If we can claw our way back into the mix, happy days, we'll talk about it. But, you know, right now between those three clubs, I would rather Villa win it over any of the other two. It's Sammy, which is really weird. That was my dad's name, by the way, Sammy. Well, actually, that wasn't his legal name, but that's what he was always known as. So that freaked me out for a little minute when I seen it's Sammy. And 45 is the age my dad died at, which again freaked the shit out of me, mate. But either way, thank you for your kind words. Semenyo is barely going to play at City. Cherky, Foden, Doku, Marmoush. and even Oscar, Bob and Semenyo are all there. Why no Liverpool? Money, I assume. Well, Manchester City are looking to move on one of Oscar, Bob, Semenyo, or I can't remember who the other possible option was that was mentioned. But they are looking to move on one of their wingers, and I think that's why they're looking to bring in Antoine Semenyo. But I do agree with you on game time. It's Sammy. You know, I can't really think of too many that have gone there from smaller clubs and really flourished. I mean, someone gave the example the other day of Kyle Walker, which was fair enough. But, you know, so many players over the years that were big stars at smaller clubs went to City and it didn't work out. Look at Grealish, 100 million and, you know, on loan at Everton. Saunders said, no January business, in my opinion, Endo type signing if lucky. What's the max games we can go unbeaten in a row? Well, look, Wolves should be a handy one. Leeds shouldn't lose that game. It's the Arsenal. Look, the next game that I think we should even be in a conversation to draw points in is potentially the Arsenal game. Until that, it should be fairly plain sailing. Riyad Mahrez. Yeah, but Riyad Mahrez came from the Premier League champions. I know, look, we can say Leicester is a smaller club, but he came from the Premier League champions. But he did do well. Absolutely no argument on that one. Nessie said, hey Craig, would you take any City attacker if somebody is sold due to Semenyo? Personally, I take Marmoush. Oh, yeah, I'm with you. That would be my answer. Marmoush in a heartbeat. If we could have one. But I just can't see that happening. John Stones. Yeah, John Stones has had a good career moving from Everton to Manchester City. But it was a mixed bag. Like, it took a while before John Stones really got the recognition. But it's a fair point. Gunners could be a nightmare for us if on their game. Yeah, it's going to be a really, really difficult game. That, you know, I'm intrigued to see how Arteta Choke sets them up for that one. You know, will he have the balls to actually go for it, or will he do his usual, try to nick a goal and defend? No disrespect, Mahrez moved 2 years after they won the title. I didn't remember that time frame, but no, you're spot on. Mahrez was definitely a success. No argument on that one, mate. You're spot on. Riyad Mahrez went to Manchester City, did really, really well. Really well. Bergval, I just read, is that true? Well, I'll give you the story. Where is it? So it comes from Fichajes. So you know what I always say about them, bullshit Ireland and having an embassy. So they report Liverpool are considering a bid of £52 million to try to sign Tottenham Hotspur midfielder Lucas Bergval in January. The fee offered by Liverpool is unusual for a 19-year-old player and reflects the status that Bergval has achieved at Spurs. They want to get ahead of other major clubs who have already started monitoring Bergval's progress. Am I the only one who, when they read that, wasn't annoyed about it? Like, I don't believe it. Let me put that out there. But I wouldn't be annoyed about it. I've always been impressed. He's got a little bit of snidiness in him as well, Bergval. So, look, I don't believe the link, but I wouldn't be against the idea of it. I do think there's a player in there. I really, really do. Right, we've gone past 2,000 votes. So, 52% of people are upset that Semenyo is likely to go to Manchester City. 48% say no. Let's ask on the Bergval thing, though. So, I need to get my keyboard angle so I don't have to move past my mic every time I'm writing a sentence out. What was the price on this one? So, would you take Bergval for 52 million quid? Let's see where your heads are at on this one. I've no idea on the salary he'd be asking for, or on the salary that Semenyo's getting, by the way. Why Semenyo choosing fake City over Liverpool makes no sense. Because, look, from my understanding and the reporting, Liverpool didn't make an official bid to get the deal done. They definitely inquired. They definitely looked at it. But some of the reporting today suggests that it was decided 5 weeks ago that Liverpool wouldn't, and that the Isak situation hasn't changed that. That's all I know on it, mate. So yeah, he didn't turn us down to go to City because we never really made the play. And I guess of the options that were on the table for him, there was Spurs, United, Chelsea backed away quite quickly, seemingly, and Manchester City. You know, our name was definitely in the mix, but Manchester City is where he's very, very likely to go at this moment in time. Would I bring back Origi? No. I know that some talk Origi's going to be going on a free or whatever, but no. You know, let's not be silly here. We need players to improve us, not players just who are a body to come in. So we Mickey van de Ven, speaking about the Isak situation and that challenge, said, I sent him a text because I didn't want to injure him or do something to hurt him, of course. I just tried to block the shot, and I think it was unlucky how his foot landed between my legs. I wish him all the best with his recovery. That's what I said to him. He really appreciated the message when he texted me back. I still stand over what I say, and I disagree with Arna on it. I don't think that there was any intent to hurt or to be snidey in that challenge from Van de Ven. And I watched it back as well, and his trailing leg isn't extended in a scissors motion. His leg is tucked in and his knee is coming in. I think that was just an attempt to block the shot. That is my hand on heart opinion of that challenge. Archie Gray for Spurs would be amazing. Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't make that move when he was wasn't he at Bristol or somewhere, Archie Gray? I know he was on a championship side, but I think, didn't his grandfather or somebody play at Spurs, or there was I think there was a family link at Spurs for him, but yeah, a great young footballer, definitely. Paul Vell said, I have a different view. Leeds, was it? Cool. Thank you. Leeds, there you go. Archie Gray was Leeds. Appreciate you. So, yeah, look, and that's okay, Paul. I understand if you have a different view on it, mate. The manager has a different view on it to me as well. You know, we can all look at it and have our own view, and that's absolutely cool, my man. I'm not saying you have to agree with what I'm saying on it. That's just my honest view of that tackle. From the Spurs fans I know, Archie Gray is awful, apparently. Well, from what I've seen of Archie Gray since he's been at Spurs, is he's been thrown all around the pitch and played in multiple different positions and never really given a proper run. But let's wait and see. He's still very, very young as well. BARCOLA or Marmouche, that Marmouche, excuse me, that'll be nice. Let me just say this categorically. They won't sell Omar Marmouche to Liverpool. And the reason I know this is, remember last summer there was a couple of reports that ended up being right, by the way. And I think it was Sam Maguire, so credit Sam for that report. But there was a report that said that Luis Diaz in 2024 wanted to go to Manchester City, and that Liverpool were willing to sanction the sale, but Liverpool wanted to sign Julian Alvarez. And Manchester City told them that we won't sell to a rival. And then Liverpool said, well then, nor will we sell to you in that regard. And that situation kind of just resolved itself. But that's what people need to remember about that Diaz situation. He wanted out and was willing to go to Manchester City. So, I don't have the same sympathy others have around that Diaz situation, because I don't think he was as committed as he should have been. And I'm not saying he didn't deserve more money, by the way, but he was quite happy to then run off to Manchester City. So, yeah. So, basically, the long-winded point I was making there was they wouldn't sell to us. So you can forget about signing Omar Marmoush from Manchester City. And I know you'll say, Craig, they've sold to Arsenal, they've sold to others, and they have. They just won't sell to us. Linders takes over after Pep. Semenyo feels like a Linders type player, direct power and intense. There's no way that Linders takes over Manchester City. Not a chance. Maresca is one of the names they've been looking at. I think, is it Michel was another one of the names. But it won't be Pep Linders. There's no way Manchester City are going to be stupid enough to put Pep Linders in charge of the team after a player or a coach with the caliber of Guardiola walks away. Dizzy up the fool said, so basically we were never in for Semenyo. Well, you can read as many reports as you want, mate, from all different journalists covering the club, and all said that Liverpool were in that Semenyo mix, and now all of a sudden we weren't. It's what I'm saying. A lot of these journalists that write stories from briefings are made to look very foolish in the end. And even today I was reading pieces on the Echo. Today, that was talking about Liverpool maybe looking at and visiting the Semenyo situation. Where else we are? VI Jokers, how are you, my man? If Liverpool don't get any centre-backs in January, it's a shambles. Yes. Beyond the shambles. I mean, it's willful negligence at that point. Some of the stuff Arna comes out with just drives me doolally. Because I don't even think he believes half the shit he comes out with sometimes. We have 12, at the minute, 12, count them, 12 players available. I'll read them out for you. These are who are confirmed as being available for the game against Wolves from the senior roster. Frimpong, Ramsey, so we're even stretching that. Canade, Virgil, Kirkes, Robertson, Gravenberch, Jones, McAllister, Wirtz, Chiesa, Ekitike. That's it. They're the senior pros that are available. Now you can throw Rio's name in there, but he ain't getting played. He might get a few minutes at the end. That's it. We're 50-50 on whether Bradley will be available, 50-50 on whether Gakpo will be available, but Gakpo wouldn't be fit enough to start anyway. And we're still, hearing bullshit from our manager about injuries not being due to players being overplayed and all this other kind of stuff. Lads, I hate saying this out loud. I hate saying it. But the more I hear from Arne Slot, the more I dislike him. And the more I get frustrated and wound up by him. I can't lie to you. I just, every time now, I feel like I have to mute what he's saying and just read the transcript because, yeah, he's just winding me up with his levels of fucking delusion. It's becoming unbearable. Slot doesn't rate Rio, in my opinion, said Darwizzy. Mate, the dude literally had the cheek today to talk about Rio in this way. I said the same for his age. He's 17. He has the most minutes of all 17-year-olds in the Premier League. That tells you how special his special level is already. It tells you his quality. It's not normal for a 17-year-old to have that much playing time, but it also tells you about unavailability. But at the weekend, Cody could be back. Fede can play there. Florian can play there. There were 4 under-21 players on the bench against Spurs. Rooney was playing pretty regularly at 17, I believe, back in the Prem. Others have come through and played at that age. And him coming out with Rio's played the most minutes feels like the most cherry-picked bullshit stat he could have used. 12 minutes in 11 games. 12 minutes in 11 games. So whatever way Arna wants to dress this up, it's bullshit. It's nonsense. You sold Diaz, didn't bring in a replacement because the pitch was we didn't want to block the pathway through for a player that you've probably done more damage to than good this season by freezing him out completely. So he's training, great, but no minutes. No use to him. Fervid said, I'm with you, Craig. I'm also starting to think to myself, he's not got much common sense. It's horrible to say that you get wound up by your own club's coach, hearing him speak. I don't like saying it one bit. But half the stuff he comes out with is absolute bollocks. And I've no other word for it. Sonder said, been interested in Rodgers since April. According to Fab, maybe he's a release clause in his new contract as well. Arna lives in La La Land with all that he says. Look, I'd love there to be a chance there for Rodgers, but I just, like someone said to me yesterday, I didn't think we'd ever get Wirtz either, so look, who knows? Might as well take Chiesa off the available list as he won't be played. I actually, going through numbers, I don't think there's a world he can't play him. And I was doing out my team earlier on, as I said, to send to Connor for the preview. And I think it's an impossibility for him not to have Chiesa in the starting 11. Unless he wants to go with Rio. But hypothetically, let's throw out a team. Alisson, Frimpong, Kanade, Virgil, Kirkes, Gravenberch, Jones, McAllister, Wirtz, Ekitike, and then it has to be either Rio or Chiesa. There is nobody else. So I think, I just don't think he's a choice not to play him. As much as I'm sure he'd love not to play him, I don't think there's any world that he'll be able not to play him. Can't put in Gakpo from the start. He's been away too long. Do you put Bradley in if he's 50-50, hasn't trained, won't train until probably Friday, and then we're playing Saturday? That would be a stretch and risky as well. So you'd imagine he might come on for a few minutes for Frimpong at some point. Gomez is unavailable. Endo's unavailable. Isak's unavailable. Salah's unavailable. It's just Dom's suspended, Paul. So Dom won't be in this game. So Dom's suspended. That's what I'm saying. There isn't the world I can think of where he can justify leaving Chiesa out. Ramsey on a fullback, Frimpong on the wing. But if we're playing with a diamond, we don't really have a wing. You'd have to be using him as a right-sided midfielder. And again, then we're talking about trusting Calvin Ramsey at right back. So we're moving somebody else out of their more natural position, or the position we signed them for, to shoehorn in a kid that's had one game for us in 2 years. It all just feels a bit. It just feels ridiculous. Ridiculous is the word. Fat Spicer, how are we? Said, if Slot is Slot just a yes man and FSG apologizer, and is why FSG backed him amongst the speculation about his future? Not sure he's as deluded as he is spineless. Do I think Arne Slot is an FSG appeaser? 100% yes. But what I don't know the answer to is that a good or a bad thing? But I do think 100% yes. He is well and truly in line. In the chain of command, he's fourth on that list, probably down. So I don't think he has the credentials or the backing to go up against the owner on anything. Whatever Klopp did, everyone was going to be behind Klopp. No matter what happened, everybody was behind Klopp. Klopp won the power struggle with Edwards. And it does, look, I do feel, yes, Arne is a bit of a a yes man to the owners. But then again, aren't most coaches, really? Recall Kwanzaa. Can't recall a player that we don't own, mate. That wasn't a loan deal. He was sold. And as far as I'm aware, the release clause certainly doesn't come into action now. I'm not sure if it comes into action at the end of this season or 2027. But there is a release clause in there to buy him back. He has signed an outline agreement for when he does come back. But yeah, it's not a loan. He was sold for 30 or 35 million euro. Stargirl said, thought Slot was here to develop and play the youth. Yeah, there was a lot of things we were told he was coming in to do. Now look, he won the league. That's a pretty cool thing. But to continue on Jurgen's style of play, has he done that? Absolutely not. Develop youngsters, has he done that? No, not in my opinion, not at all. So, thrown away League Cup competition. We're already pretty far away from any thoughts of a title defence. Champions League is, look, room with a shout there if we can click. Happy days. The situation with Mo, don't be fooled by that. It's not over. And to be fair, a lot of journalists covering this have said the same. That situation ain't over. There's going to be more Mo drama coming down the line. You can bet your ass on that. We've got Kanade, who doesn't seem to know whether he wants to stay or go. There's just too many unanswered questions at our club again, which feels mental after what we just had in the summer. So we asked, would you take Bergval for 52 million? We're nearly at 1,000 votes, so if you haven't voted, please do. The only reason we're asking the question is because it was a Fakahi story. So let's hear from Alexander Isak, who posted on Instagram and said, gutted to be out for a while, time to recover and support from the sideline. I'll work hard to be back as soon as I possibly can. Thank you all, Reds, and everybody else for the kind messages. It does not go unnoticed. You'll never walk alone. And again, we do wish Alex a speedy recovery and hope that we have him back as soon as possible. Right, really quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to bring this up on screen again. This is the young man, the young mixed martial arts fighter that we're getting behind and we're sponsoring. And Adam, he was at my house actually just before I did the stream with his father and we were having a chat. Trains regularly up at SBG, trains with Ian Gary. Is representing Ireland in the European Youth Championships in Serbia in February, but gets no funding from Sports Ireland because MMA isn't funded. So there's a GoFundMe that his parents have started. We've donated €1,000 towards it on your behalf. If, rather than sending a super chat or anything like that, you could scan that QR code, visit the GoFundMe, and make a small donation to help a young man's dreams come true. I'm telling you, this kid can make it all the way to the UFC. He's a multiple national champion, a European champion, a world championship runner-up, and has the most screwed-on, dedicated head I've ever seen for a 16-year-old kid in my life. I'm telling you, you will know this kid's name. Keep an eye, Adam Duffy. This kid's going places. And I want to make sure that he can focus on what he needs to do. Train, nutrition, and not have to worry about the stress of trying to raise the money just to go and compete for his country that he's been selected to. So if you can, folks, again, really do appreciate you. Any news on the studio? Yes, more work was going on today. We're pretty close. We're pretty close to the end of the building side. But then we have a lot of interior work to do with regards to, putting all the stuff on the walls. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give away what it's going to look like on the inside. But we've got lots of stuff that we'll be working on. I'd say realistically, February is probably when you'll see our first bit of content from inside the studio. Is Bergval any better than Elliott, though? Well, he is younger. So, actually, thank you for bringing up Harvey Elliott, because once again, the gift that keeps on giving, Arne Slot on Harvey Elliott potentially coming back. This is what he had to say. No, he's an Aston Villa player for the season. I give up. Honestly, I give up. Because surely to God, Arne should be knocking on Hughes' door and saying, mate, get this lad back. That deal's not going to be made permanent. Villa's already said it. Get him back, get him into the squad, and give me an option. But he said no. I can't deal with it anymore. I can't. I cannot deal with Arne Slot's bullshit. This should be a no-brainer. Harvey will be chomping at the bit to come back. He's not getting game time. We could do with him. And Arne, no. I'm just... Yeah, it's just silliness again. Merry Christmas to you and the fam and the AA community, my man. Any news on Stefan? Do you think he gets the Arne treatment, same as Harvey, Rio and Fede? Well, he was pictured at the AXA today, actually. Still don't know a likelihood of when you might see him on the pitch or that, but there was an image of him today at the AXA. Will you do a video showing off the studio when it's all done? Oh, definitely, of course. Yeah, I'm so excited to be able to do that and walk you guys through it all. Oh God, 100%. I couldn't be any more happier to potentially show it to you. Let me just find something today. Where was it? Let's go with this one. One sec. I can never get these things the right size. I'm such an idiot. Again, not the right size, but they never fucking are they? Never fucking are. So yeah, that's kind of where we're up to with it now. So as you can see, the steps are being done up to the shed. They've been tiled. The tiling on the outside's been done. A few bits of electric still to do for a few lights. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Should be all completed, I would say, in 2-3 days of building work left, and then it's the fun stuff, the kitting it out and putting the table in it and setting up the camera angles and all that stuff. So yeah, excited, really excited by it all. Still can't believe it's actually happening. Hopefully the roof doesn't leak. It won't, trust me, it won't. Have I seen the rumoured Liverpool jerseys for next season? Yes, I have. I think I probably have them here. 1 second. 1 second, folks. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Yeah, there we go. So let me bring this up. Yeah, so these are the rumoured ones for next season from Footy Headlines. There you go. So as you can see, they're the rumoured one for next season based off that 89 to 91 kit. I'd love this to be the case, by the way. But if I could say one thing, I'd get rid of the logo that's on the one on the right-hand side, and I would put the trefoil old Adidas logo back on it, and I think it would look way better than the newer Adidas logo. But yeah, that is, at least according to Footy Headlines, one of the leaks of the potential new shirt for next season, the home one. But it needs the old Adidas logo on it for me, and I'll be all over it. But do let me know what you guys think in the chat. Right, we'll also have one more late night agenda before Christmas, just so you know on that one. I will be here tomorrow. Probably start a little bit earlier. Probably start at about either 8 or 8:30. And I will be live late on Christmas night. So I'm not sure when I get back from the in-laws. But if you're around on Christmas night and you want to drop in and say hello, I'll be streaming on Christmas night as well. The only day I won't be live streaming is on what you guys call Boxing Day. I'm just going to put out a news video that day and spend that day here with my family because I'm cooking dinner for everybody on that day. So yeah, that's the only day you won't be seeing me live between now and the Christmas period. Sonder, Merry Christmas, Craigo. Enjoy the time with the fam. Thank you, bro. Really appreciate that. Does the club have any say in the design of the shirt? Do you know what, Dave? I actually don't know the answer to that, mate. It's a really good question. I'd have to imagine they'd have some say in it, yeah. Craig dressing up as Santa for the stream. Do you want to see the thumbnail for the Christmas stream? I'll show it for you. We have it already done. So 1 second. I'll show you the Christmas thumbnail already. Bear with me. So there you go. That's the Christmas thumbnail, which you will see on Christmas Day for the stream. So do make sure that you were looking out for it. But yeah, that'll be the Christmas Day stream, like I said. So there you go. Craigie Santa with an empty sack. Hopefully. We can but hope. The wife's not around, so I can feel brave to say things like that now, you know? Right. So, 61% of people think that they would not like Lucas Bergvall at 52 million quid, and 39% said yes. Now, next one. This one I'm going to keep it simple. No positions, no player names. I just want to know how you're feeling. Do you think we are signing anybody in January? Let me know. Because I feel like somebody whose emotions have been played with too much. 1 minute we're looking at 3. A midfielder, an attacker, and a defender. Then there's some saying Liverpool aren't doing any business. Then you've got Arna talking about not even bringing back in the likes of Elliott. If we don't make any signings in January, with the way this season has gone so far and the way things are right now, it'll feel to me like they've just wrote off the season. Because they should be embarrassed at the centre-back situation. They should be embarrassed that they didn't get Gay in the window. And the way this season has panned out and the drama that's still ahead of us, because like I said, Canada stuff isn't over and most stuff certainly won't be over. I just think it needs a little bit of business done, especially at centre-back. Evening, Craig. Hope you're well. So I don't know if it's just me, but it seems as though the first half of every game seems so safe and just boring. We were saying this even last year. Like it takes us a long time to get into a game. Now look, we scored against, who was it we scored against really quickly? Was it Villa? Who was Ekatike score against in like minute 1? But we do start games slowly. And it annoys me because I'd rather we go on, start the game quickly, win it, and then the manager can start resting and rotating players a bit sooner. Brighton, thank you. Yeah. So, I can probably sit here, Heavy Metal D, and give you 3, 4, or 5 reasons as to why I have no faith in Slot. The style of football is boring as shit. It just is. And 89% of people agreed with me on that yesterday in a poll. I don't trust his man management skills one bit. I think he has definitely played favourites and frozen people out that he shouldn't have. I think he talks absolute garbage in post-match press conferences. And I just don't trust the man. Even after winning the league, I've no trust that Arne Slot is that guy and it's going to turn it around. I'm not seeing it. You know, we're winning games, great. We should be winning these games. They're straightforward. But there's no style. There's no substance to the way we play. And it feels like it's be cautious and then hopefully we have a moment. That's how it feels to me. We accused Arteta of a very similar philosophy of playing. Of don't overcommit, be cautious and hope you get a moment. With Arne Slot, that's how it feels. Only for we don't have the defensive solidity at the back. You know? And we were life and death again with that Spurs team. 9 men for 9 minutes. And they had the ball for most of it. It just... It always feels shaky. And like... There's always going to be a wobble when we concede. Gakpo will definitely start. I honestly don't think he will, because I don't think the sports science team will let him start. Because you can't come back in from being away for a few weeks and start and play a full 65 or 70. And he's 50-50 now because he hasn't trained yet. So if you add in that, I just don't think there's a world at all that Gakpo starts this game. Craig, I think there's a good shout for clubs doing more business in January, gives a boost for the end of the season, but the most important players are up to speed for the start of next season, e.g. City. There's always a valid argument for Cal, and also we have to remember that this summer is going to be more of a condensed summer because of the World Cup. So clubs are going to have less time than normal to schmooze players and get their business done. And what they also won't want to do is have their eye on a player, that player go to the World Cup, perform really well, and then that price doubling and more interest being there in the players. So yeah, I can see a world where clubs are looking to get a bit more done in January. But it's also difficult to get some players out of clubs in January because the selling club, depending on their league position or where they are, will also need time to get replacements. And a lot of managers don't like losing players mid-season. I think Slot has until the end of the season to save his job, but only if we qualify for the Champions League. If not, bye-bye Slot. That makes me depressed, mate. Just thinking that that's somehow in any way an acceptable season. You know, qualifying for the Champions League now would be enough to keep him in his job. Not for me. Let's go back to the summer and talk about what the plans were. It was potential double, one big trophy minimum, and by big I meant the league of the Champions League. A domestic cup, in which case we only have the FA Cup left in now. I just think if he doesn't qualify for the Champions League comfortably and either win the FA Cup or at the very least get to a Champions League semi-final, he should be gone without any hesitation. I think he should be gone already, by the way, for what it's worth. But Stargirl said something a while ago, and she said, what happened to the stylistic similarities that was one of the reasons why Arne was given the head coach's job to Jurgen? What happened to that? Because we really do seem so far removed from, you know, that style of football that we thought was going to be continued. Oh, Mark Gay scores for Palace there. Wow. That must be quite late in the day as well, is it? Wow. So that one's straight to penalties, right? If I'm not mistaken. Pat Moynihan, how are you, Pat? Said, like to wish Craig and everyone a happy Christmas. And same to you, Pat, my friend. Same to you and your family. Appreciate you, sir. Sorry, I'm just flying back through all of my notes here to make sure I haven't missed anything. I've done that one. Oh, let's talk about the potential number that FSG would sell at. So if you watch my earlier video, you'll know where I'm going with this one. But Kieran Maguire, who is a football finance expert, he said this, and I want to know your thoughts on it because I want to see if they match mine. So let me read it out to you. So Kieran Maguire said, Liverpool are a flagship brand for FSG, But if a sovereign wealth fund comes in with a £10 billion offer, they would snap your hand off. However, it would have to be delusional money. They could get 12 times the purchase price right now with an approximate valuation of 3.6 billion, but that is no indication that they're interested in that. Now, there's two things about that worry me. One, that they would sell for a certain number immediately, but two, the words sovereign wealth fund, because that's exactly the type of people that Liverpool should not be sold to, or any football club should not be sold to. Sovereign wealth fund is a sentence that strikes fear into me as a football fan, because what I hear is countries' PR exercise. That's what I see. And like I've said, no private business entity can compete with the wealth of a country's sovereign wealth fund, whatever that country may be. Be that America, be that Ireland, be that England, be that Qatar, it doesn't matter. Anywhere. No country should be owning a club. End of conversation. So to hear that they would bite the hand off for a £10 billion offer from a sovereign wealth fund fills me full of dread. Because Liverpool's owners should know a damn sight better than trying to take a club based in a socialist root system and in a city with socialist and working class and labour roots and talk about a sovereign wealth fund even being a potential sale. It would make me sick if that happened. Like I said, I can only speak to me, but that's my take on it. I'm just making sure I haven't missed anything. 1 second. That one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Yeah, I think I've read every super chat. So I think somebody in the chat was saying I missed one, but I think I've read them all, to be honest. I've gone through them and I don't see one that I've missed. So how do you guys feel about the sovereign wealth fund stuff? See the money talk stuff. That's I have a big bee in my bonnet about this idea that money's the answer to everything, and money excuses anything. Like in this mad world of ours, we seem to associate people that are wealthier than us as being somehow better people than us or purer people than us. I never view the world that way. I understand football's a capitalist thing at the minute. I get it. I'm not naive. But I don't want any sovereign wealth fund owning any football club. And I've said this multiple times. It just becomes a PR exercise for that country and a pissing contest. It's disgusting. I'd never buy into a money at all cost philosophy. Because if I did, this channel would be very different. You know, I'd have taken on far more profitable sponsors. I'd have put up paywalls and done things that would have made me a shit ton more money. But sometimes just doing the right thing and making sure, yeah, you want to get by, and yeah, FSG have every right to make a profit if they ever sell the club, of course. But the idea of selling it to, I just don't think fans would take to it. I really think there'd be uproar if that was the case. I'm just going back through these chats just in case there is one I missed, because someone feels like I missed one, but oh, this one, Kev, was it? This one. Slot has to go. No Rio, no Chiesa. Boring footy. I can't I really disagree with you, Kev, on that there, mate. Apologies I didn't see it initially, Kev, and thank you for being with us for 8 months, mate. The Rio one in particular, mate, winds me up. Like, I never really had an expectation of him doing anything other than shafting Chiesa because, you know, he has form on that. But yeah, I definitely expected that we would have seen some more of Rio this season. I think it depends on the fund. Not an Arab fund since they work dirty. Norway fund would be great. It wouldn't matter to me. Like, this is what it comes back to when I say, and you aren't saying this at me, I'm just putting it out there. When I say sovereign wealth fund, I have nothing against any part of the world. I just think any fund that has the backing of a full nation's wealth behind it can't be competed against by a genuine businessman or woman or person or investment portfolio. And a country can afford to, if they want to, take losses for a far longer time than a business can, and it doesn't have to be sustainable or equitable or operable if it is a PR exercise rather than an investment proposal, if you get me. So whether it is Norway, whether it's Ireland, whether it's Spain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Australia, to me, it doesn't really matter. The country is irrelevant. It's the idea of a fund that has the ability to just completely outmatch any realism in how a business is run that just doesn't make sense to me. It's a race to the bottom. And yeah, I just don't like it. I never have and I never will. I don't think the Newcastle sale should have been allowed to happen. Because that was clearly bullshit. It wasn't the PIF that was buying it. Well, then in New York court documents, it absolutely proved it was. And the whole thing is just a race to the bottom, in my opinion, mate. It's just a race to the bottom. Why would they want the football club now? Spending rules. Newcastle is already a letdown from a sovereign wealth fund. Because the reason Newcastle has been a letdown, I think, and again, I don't really have a full understanding of Newcastle's finances, but it's because of the PSR stuff and the fact that they're holding to those. Like, say what we want about Newcastle, and God, I've had a lot to say over the summer, but they've never veered away from the rules of PSR or spending within the rules of the game. I will absolutely give Newcastle their credit on that. Like, they could have absolutely come in with the owners they have and bought whoever they wanted and said, fuck UEFA and the Premier League, we'll take our fines for a few years, we'll take our bans or whatever, but we're going to do this thing and we're going to supercharge it into something. And they didn't do that, and fair on that. But look, I just don't like it, like I said. And here's an example. Remember when Man City won the Champions League? I don't know if people remember this, but go back and Google it. Or go on to X and search Man City win Champions League and read through a lot of the tweets in and around it. And read through what those tweets were saying. Because not much of it was talking about the city of Manchester and the citizens and the Manchester City fans having this European triumph. It was very, very differently worded, as if it was a victory on behalf of a specific nation rather than a football club. And that, to me, is where sport and politics and sport and soft power shouldn't mix. Difference is Liverpool are in over 300 million in debt. Newcastle are in profit, but Liverpool have more money coming in. So you say Liverpool are in debt. Sort of not true, but sort of true. So Liverpool took a loan from their owners to build the main stand on any road end, which will be refinanced in 15 years. You say that Newcastle have, well, What are you waffling, Craig? They got Semenyo deal with it. With what? What the fuck? I don't know what you're talking about, Noah. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Um, Newcastle are about to have a load of debt when they redo St James's Park, but that's different. Like debt for structural projects that are going to improve cash flow in the longer term for a club, that's very different to a debt from just buying a shitload of players and paying them too much. So, Liverpool's debt is very manageable and is also being off written to some extent by the extra ticket sales. So it's again, debt in football isn't necessarily always a dirty word. But I'm still waiting for Noah to tell me what are you waffling, Craig? They got Semenyo deal with it. With what? What? Who got what with what? I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Why are we not getting Semenyo? Is it because we didn't want him? Do we want BARCOLA instead? So I can't say why we aren't getting Semenyo. All I can say, because all I know is that his preference has been Manchester City. I'm not going to sit here and say to you that we wanted him and City beat us to him, because I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say we pulled out of the deal because he thought, we thought better of it. I don't know. All I know is that multiple journalists from Ornstein to Romano and others are saying that he's decided Manchester City and that's where he's going. After that, I don't know what happened or how far we pushed it or how far we didn't. I love owners who are capable of expanding Anfield to as big as possible and being able to improve the infrastructure around the stadium community. Um, yeah, but the cost of that, mate, when you get into the infrastructure and the improvements that you're talking about, it almost has to be a public-private partnership at that point, especially when you're talking about infrastructure and transport links and stuff like that. The kind of two have to go hand in hand. Craig, debt isn't a bad thing if managed correctly. I've just said that, mate. I've literally just said that as well. Look, I'm not qualified to talk about football debt and finance. I'd certainly look at the likes of Mo Chatra, Swiss Ramble, Kieran Maguire. Very, very good, credible accountants and economists and football brains that could talk to you about the ins and outs of football debt and what's good versus bad debt. Far better than this idiot here, like. Will Newcastle be in debt too by building a stadium? Yes, but it's not bad debt. Of course, Newcastle, if they redo St James's Park, that's going to have to be paid for and that's going to have to be financed. But it's not bad debt. It's not debt from being misspending. It's debt to improve the infrastructure of the club, which will improve hospitality levels, which will, get more bums on seats. And it's like anybody else. It's serviceable, normal, manageable debt, depending on, of course, the lenders and the terms that you get for it. But Liverpool got, I won't say it's an interest-free loan from FSG, because to the best of my understanding, every owner loan like that, even if it is supposed to be interest-free, has something built in for inflation that it rises 3-4% a year or something like that. But it's not bad debt, It's not going to put a club like Newcastle or anything in any way in trouble. Same way it didn't put Liverpool in trouble, because in 15 years or whatever, that debt will be serviced and Liverpool stands will still be generating more money for the club. Bigger sponsorship for Newcastle United. Lots of stuff. It'll be in the Old Trafford one, or the New Trafford, I should say. That's the one that has me the most intrigued. Because you're talking about £2 billion for that in Manchester. Now, I don't know how a club as in debt as United, who are paying, to the best of my understanding, 50 something million a year to service their debt. If somebody can correct me on that if I'm wrong. How are they going to suddenly build a £2 billion stadium with no public funding? That seems they'd have access to take on the debt, I guess, but it seems a lot. Like Spurs gaff was built for about £1 billion, I think, and that is, in my opinion, without doubt, the best stadium in the Premier League by a long, long way. It's an incredibly impressive stadium. Uh, that's the thing, though. As far as I'm aware, PIF and the Rubens will finance it, and they're the owners of the club. Bearing in mind, Rubens own 95% of Newcastle's high street and shops. Excuse me. And it's perfectly okay for an owner to loan a club money for an infrastructure project like that. Um, yeah, Dan, even when you take it into account FFP or PSR and stuff like that, capital projects and infrastructure projects, they're absolutely, I think, pretty much free from calculations against that. It's like Barcelona rebuilding the Camp Nou. There's still billions in there. But did you see they sold? I think they sold X amount of corporate boxes for 100 million or something like that to a Dubai-based investor or some madness like that at the new camp. Basically, what you can be guaranteed is when a stadium's revamped, whether it's St James's Park, whether it's Old Trafford, whether it's Liverpool, wherever it is, that tickets are going to get a lot more fucking expensive because they're going to start shoehorning in more and more hospitality areas of it. And again, it's going to hit fans in the pockets because ultimately fans will be the one, along with maybe a naming rights partner, that will be covering the cost of that. Doesn't Spurs still owe money to the UK government since the money Spurs built their stadium? I think, again, I'm not a finance expert, but I think you're talking about money Spurs took on during the COVID era, if my memory's right. I think they took on some money when they furloughed staff or something like that. I might be wrong. Who would be your dream player to sign in January? Dream player. Dream player would be Michael Elise. Dream player would be Alessandro Bastoni. Um, but realistic player, Mark A. He would be the one that I really, really think Liverpool should be moving heaven and earth to try and get him in January. Wayne, how are you, bro? Sending you this, Craig, to wish you, the family, and everyone in the chat, amazing channel, a very Merry Christmas. 17 months till you marry me and Kaylee. And we both cannot wait. WFM and lots of love. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Did I show you guys the mug Paul sent me the other day? I think I showed it to you. If I didn't, let me know and I'll drag it in and show you. But I'd actually love to sell this mug. That's how impressed I was by it when Paul sent it to me. Because I think it's brilliant. Craig, Palace centre back Richard had to be stretchered off today. I sincerely hope he's okay, makes and isn't too badly injured and makes a speedy recovery. So yeah, really, really, I haven't seen the game, but disappointed to hear about Richards, and I hope he makes a speedy recovery and it's not too bad. I want Arsenal to win, means they've more games, more fatigue, said Dave. Can you read the article talking about us going after Rayan from Club de Regas Vasco da Gama? I don't have that piece, mate, on anything about us going for a player from Vasco da Gama. Sorry. Yeah, I don't have the article to hand. So here's the mug. Look at this bad boy. Look at that. Hang on. Let me replay the video from the start. So obviously this is from the 7-2 game. But Dave sent me this. Or Paul, excuse me, Paul. Paul sent me this. That makes me smile. Because that's still a moment to this day that I smile about, except for the result. Because that was the day karma bit me in the arse. United lost 6-1 to Spurs, and I said, Adrian will be grand today. We won't do what the other lot did. And then, boom, there came the kick in the balls from karma, and I still can't believe we lost that game 7-2. It felt like everything that could go wrong that day did go wrong. Yeah, the 777 part on the side of it, that was brilliant. That's the part that got me. It's absolutely brilliant. Adriel in goal, he'll be grand. Yep, famous last fucking words, lads, huh? Famous last words. So we're going all the way in sudden death here in this one, 7-6 now, Arsenal in the penalty shootout. Oof. Do keep me informed on what's happening there. I've showed you I know I've showed you our sponsorship of Courtown Hibs on the jersey, but that looks so cool. If you haven't seen it, this is the football club shirt we sponsored for our local team here, Courtown Hibs. That's the Anfield Agenda shirt sponsor. They were kind enough to send me one of the shirts as well, and I'm getting it framed up and put into the studio when it's there. But how sweet does that look? And again, really proud myself and Conor were to be able to do that, to sponsor one of the local teams. And we're going to buy another set for them after Christmas. How much for the cup? Oh, I've no idea. Someone sent it to me as a gift, Carl. I just think it would make for a really good. I think it would make for a really good bit of memorabilia or merch for us to sell. But I didn't get it made, so I haven't got a clue. How many deflections did Villa score that day? Oh, it felt like Sod's Law. Everything that could go wrong that day went wrong. It's mental. Oh my god, this one's still going on. 8-7. Are we able to buy the Courtown kits? I don't think so, but hang on. What I could do if you wanted to, and I'd have to speak to the lads at Courtown Hibs, but I could probably order a set of 16 of them and get them made if I had 16 people who wanted and I knew what size you wanted. I could probably get a set made, yeah, if people wanted them. Yeah, let me know if it's something that you guys want to do. I'm sure it's something that we could get sorted out, because I actually think it looks really cool on there as well. But we'd have to know. We'd have to know sizes and all that shit in advance. Obviously, I'm sure we could order. I'm sure we could order a job lot of them. Arsenal have gone through on penalties. Congrats to Arsenal going through. That's them into the semis then. That's going to be an interesting semi-final setup. I'd buy one, but I'm a Newcastle fan, but love your show. Nice. That's so kind. Thank you. Yeah. Can I ask how much it would cost to make one, please? Oh, the mug. I can find that out easy enough, mate. Yeah. I can find the mug stuff out handy enough. But yeah, let me ask about it. Look, if you want me to look into the Courtown Hib shirts, I'm sure we can get them done with the Anfield Agenda logo again, no problem. But yeah, let me know anyway. What I don't want to do is order a whole set of them and get stuck with 20, 30, 40 Anfield Agenda shirts that nobody wants, like. And I'd be happy to get them out of cost price and a bit of postage or whatever, like. Craig, first half of the season, we've had a few injuries now, January here, and it doesn't sound like we're getting any more. What's the second half going to look like? I don't think any time we've ever rolled the dice and not brought in somebody when we've needed it, I can't remember it working out well for us. You know, Ozan Kabak, Ben Davies, that was a joke. Arthur Mello, that was a joke. You know, surely we've earned their lessons. Right, I've got 10 minutes left. So let me do a quick poll on this. One sec. So, simple question this time. Will we order a set of AA jerseys to sell? These are the jerseys we're on about. They're Joma shirts. We sponsor Courtown Hibs, and we're about to sponsor another one of their teams after Christmas. We're going to buy them another set of kits. So we'll be talking and we'll be putting in orders anyway. So if you guys want, I can ask about getting adult versions, kids versions. I'd need numbers, sizes, and a few things in advance. But if you want them, I can absolutely sort it out. At a guess, and I am guessing, I would say you're talking 40 quid a shirt, maybe? Something like that. 40 to 45 quid ish would be my guess. At something like that. That would probably be, I think, where the price point would be. Craig Sell jersey with Ewan Connor signed. I wouldn't want to ruin the shirt, but what I could do is everyone that bought a jersey, we could put in a thank you on behalf of Craig and Connor and sign thank you card to everyone that bought a shirt. So we could definitely do that. I wouldn't want to ruin someone's jersey on them, but let's say somebody bought one, I'd have no problem putting in a with compliments from Anfield Agenda and signed it for me and Connor with a thank you or something like that to everyone that bought one. We could do that, no problem. Craig, find out the sizes. Oh, I can absolutely find out. Like I said, I'll be in contact with them. Because we're buying another set of kits for another one of the kids' teams after Christmas, and I'm going to be down having a chat with them about that anyway. So yeah, I think we could we could do that maybe, and yeah, like I said, we wouldn't be doing it to make profits or anything like that. I think it would be cool because I know I love having it in the frame. It's going in a frame, but yeah, let me know what you think on it. So yeah, I would guess at about €40 would be the shirt price. At a guess, no more than 50, but probably 40 would be my guess, somewhere around that. I worry about customs for the jersey. So how much? Don't want another $90 customs charge. Look, I can't give you an answer on a customs thing, mate. I haven't got a clue. I haven't posted that into America in ages. I wouldn't have a Scooby on anything like that. Leave it with me for a few days. I'll talk to Connor. If you're in our WhatsApp, keep an eye out in there because we might put in a Google form with a link for you to say size and how many you'd be interested in. So make sure you're in our WhatsApp. And the other side of Christmas, I'll talk to the manufacturers, I'll talk to Connor, I'll talk to the club, and yeah, we might be able to do that as well. And it's important for me that it does keep the Courtown Hibs crest on it because I don't want an Anfield Agenda crest on it. I want it to be the court. I want you guys repping our local. Double line said, I love you, Craig. It's refreshing hearing you. Don't worry about the people making you out was race. It isn't. I'm mixed race and I never get that vibe. Mate, quite simply, there is no racist bone in my body in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, just it doesn't exist. So yeah, those people were assholes. But thank you. I always appreciate your support and thank you for your kind words. And Merry Christmas to you and your family. On this one, Arthur, we're gonna look into it. We're gonna look into it. But I do love Dave's idea as well about. I think the kit would be a package. So let's say there's a jersey, a signed card from me and Connor, and maybe I don't know, maybe another AA thing we could get done and put in it as well. But yeah, I like that idea actually of a package type thing. So leave it with me because the more I think about it, the more I'm loving it. Corbin said, think the squad needs 200 million spend over again in the next two windows, January and the summer. Am I wrong? Oh, by the way, I said, will we order AA jerseys to sell? It's getting closer to a no. So if it's voted no, no problem, we won't do it. But remember, I only ask these things because someone suggests it. So if you haven't voted in our quick poll, we have, will we order a set of AA jerseys to sell? This is the shirts we'd be talking about, as I said, because we sponsor one of the local teams. And if people, it isn't for you, of course, no problem. But we don't want to commit to something and then, it be just a waste of everyone's time. From a Toon fan to a Liverpool fan, big up. Thank you, bro, and have a Merry Christmas, Noxie. Appreciate you, mate, you and your family. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas. The real Johnny Sins said, Palace looked buried in the first half. The way Glasner shifted the entire tide after half time, he's got Kloppo in him. Swap him for Arna in a heartbeat. I'm really interested to see what happens with his contract at Palace because, as you know, he's up at the end of the season himself. In red, maybe. No, it's got to be the colour of the Cortown Hib shirt, mate, because that shirt already exists, like we've said. We sponsor a local team with that shirt, and I have one of the shirts. What's the AA thing about? It's about this. So we showed this that we're sponsored a local team, and somebody said, can we buy the shirt? And I said, I could probably find a way to get the shirts ordered if people wanted an AA one with the Cortown Hib stuff on it to rep our local club. And we, put in a signed card for me and Connor in with it and maybe something else. But that's what we're asking about because it wasn't my idea. Somebody in the chat mentioned it, so I said we'll put it to a vote. But it's not looking great. It's 62% yes, 38% no. That's that to me is far more of a no than it is closer to a yes. But that's, like I said, I never take offense to any of this shit, so I'm good. Craig, I'm not South Africa. I've not heard the name of this club before. What's the name of the club? You wouldn't have heard the name of it. They do have an app, by the way, if you want to download it. It's Cortown Hibs. Let me put it in the chat for you. So, one sec. So that's the name there, Cortown Hibs FC. They're a local club to where I live, and one of the guys who was doing a bit of work in my house one day, we got talking about football, and he told me that he was, wrapped up with Cortown Hibs and the underage teams. And I said, well, look, if you're ever stuck and you need a set of kits or and give me a shout. And he said, well, our under 14s are actually sharing a kit at the minute with another team. And I said, look, let me talk to Connor. And we went down and we got the sponsorship stuff sorted for them and got them the set of kits. And then I was so impressed when I went down and met everyone that we said, look, we're going to order you guys a second set of kits for another one of the teams because, the work you're doing down here is great with local youngsters and, keeping kids active. So we just want to support that. And then somebody asked, can I buy one? And I just thought on the spot, yeah, we could probably do that. Did you get your sign up in the club yet? The sign's there. It's not up yet, but it's in their office, ready to go up, which will be very interesting to see. By the way, Craig, Wharton is the real deal. Clears Elliott. Well, he's a very good player, definitely, yes. And he's probably the more likely, I think, for us, the real Johnny Sins to go for than Elliot Anderson. Corbin said 200 million overboard. In what way? As in, were players wasted or something? What colour are the shorts and socks? I don't know, mate. We wouldn't be selling the shorts and socks. Black, I think, if I remember seeing the kit correctly. Craig, which attacker do you reckon we sign since we have to sign one now that Semenyo seems unlikely? Hand on heart, mate, and I don't say this to scaremonger. I'm worried we don't make any January signings now at this point. I hope the BARCOLA stuff comes true, or I hope we pull something else out of the bag. But right now, I'm genuinely concerned that we don't do any business in January, and I will lose my little mind if that's the case. Justin Drohan said, "Hey Craig, hope all is well. If Semenyo news is true, if I was Liverpool, I would be calling City about Marmoush. He's played with Ekitike. They won't sell to us, and they told Liverpool this last year when Diaz wanted to go to City, and Liverpool said, okay, but we'd like to buy Julian Alvarez, and we were told we don't sell to a rival, which I know they've sold to Arsenal and others, by the way, but they wouldn't sell to us, so there's no way they sell us Marmoush either. In regards to what we need to spend next 2 windows, 200 million. Yeah, probably, but I would say there's some recoupment coming in there as well, Corbin. So, again, what's the net going to be, depending on who we move on? If we sold Salah in the summer and that brought us in 70 million quid, that would go a long way as well, wouldn't it? I watched Connor this morning. I can't believe the BS that came out when he talked about Elliot. I couldn't believe it either. It's actually, I can't say the word I want to use. It's idiotic. Right, I'm going to go record the late night news update video. So, 62% of you said that we should. Leave it with me. I'll have a look into it and we'll see what you think. But like I said, if I could ask you for one thing this evening, it would be this. If you can donate anything, 2 quid, 5 quid, 10 quid, to help this young man get to the European Championships, to defend his title. He's a mixed martial artist and his twin brother as well that we're right behind. They need to raise €3,500 to get over to Serbia for the Euros in February. We've raised about 1,300 quid so far, including 1,000 quid we donated into it on behalf of our community. And we're going to continue to make sure that these guys can get over there and represent our country. If you can't, rather than sending me a super chat or anything over the next few days, that will be hugely, hugely appreciated. I will see you guys, and the link's in the description as well. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another Christmas Eve late night agenda. And if I don't see you before Christmas, which I'm sure I will, some of you, have a wonderful Christmas. Enjoy it. Spend time with your family and your loved ones. Chill out, relax, and just have a bit of fun. Late night news video coming out in the next 15-20 minutes. But most importantly, love you all to bits. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.